There are very few people that Kashin Koji has ever treated like they're an actual threat, and strangely enough, Amado might be one of them. Not because Amado can throw hands, because let's be honest, if fists decided arguments, then Amado would have been the world's worst debater. He would have been sent into orbit 3 whole manga arcs ago, if not sooner. But ever since Kashin Koji awakened 10 Directions, he's acted like someone trying to avoid a landmine instead of a fight. And the more that Boruto Two Blue Vortex reveals, the harder it becomes to ignore one uncomfortable possibility. Kashin Koji wasn't hiding because he feared dying. He was hiding because he feared what Amado might eventually do. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, takes a look at the reason why Kashin Koji likely has been ducking Amado. Also, over on my Anime Explained channel, my new video essay on Yoru the War Devil is up, which I strongly recommend if you're curious about Chainsaw Man or you're a big fan of that series. Lastly, official spoilers and full spoilers for Boruto's manga are dropping next week if you're seeing this on Saturday. So keep notifications turned on. When they drop, I'll be sure to get back to you guys with the update. One of the biggest misconceptions surrounding Kashin Koji is that people assume he's become fearless after awakening 10 Directions. From the outside, that makes sense, and I think it's in human nature to think if someone had that kind of power, they'd be a bit reckless at times. God knows I would if I could see the future. The man can peer into countless timeline branches. He knows outcomes before they happen unless someone like Boruto decides to say, I'll do my own thing and basically unplug the figurative 10 Directions computer right when the loading screen was about to finish up on its job. He guides Boruto through timelines like someone reading tomorrow's newspaper before everyone else has even finished reading today's headlines. That kind of ability should make someone almost impossible to surprise. Keywords there being almost impossible. We know Kashin Koji is cautious for a reason. The future isn't set in stone. It can change on the ebbs and flows of the river of time as each new ripple is made. His job is basically to make sure there aren't too many bad turbulent waters to navigate. Some might say that makes him paranoid, though I'd personally argue it makes him responsible. Kashin Koji knows the power of 10 Directions and how it can alter fate. He also said, without having to come out and say it, that kind of knowledge scares him. Again, he hasn't verbally said it, but it's right there in between the lines when you read the story. That's important because characters rarely tell the audience what scares them, or rather a good writer shouldn't always rely on characters having to tell us their fears. Instead, the story will show it. A good story uses mixes of show and tell. Statements are absolutely fine. I do not agree with this notion of downplaying statements. They have their place, especially in battle shonen, where if you want to establish how strong a character is, you just have to have someone credible say this person's stronger than that person, or if you want their combat capability made known, you do what Toriyama did and have someone like Cell say, I can use Kaioken and Genki Dama if I want to, despite him never having ever used each power. It serves its point. It lets you dig right back into the story without having to add in unnecessary scenes to display what a character can do. That's what statements are there for. Something to move the plot along quickly without bogging down you with information. And Kashin Koji's actions around Amado, they have been screaming one thing for a very long time. Stay hidden. And that's not by mistake when you look at all the breadcrumbs that we've been given. Go all the way back to Boruto Part 1. After Kashin Koji fought Ishiki, Ishiki immediately assumed that Koji would chase after Amado, called him a dying dog going back to his owner that abandoned him, and logically made sense. Think about it. Ishiki believed that those two had unfinished business. Look at it from Ishiki's perspective. That was the obvious move. It's what Ishiki would have did. Amado had betrayed Kara. Kashin Koji had betrayed Kara. Their goals, they had aligned. Then Kashin Koji was sent to die fighting Ishiki and he managed to escape. Koji was fully expected by Ishiki to pursue Amado, and so did us as reader, except Kashin Koji never did. Instead, he disappeared and Ikimoto subverted expectations and kept Kashin Koji hidden for almost 4 years in real life. It dragged on so long that someone like me, who originally said, hey, Kashin Koji is alive, just be patient, I lost faith in it. And then sure enough, a year and a half later, Kashin Koji gets revealed to be alive. And when you look at it, he introduced him into the story in a very well thought out way. It was one of the better plot twists in the Boruto story. Not on the level of omnipotence, but a good plot twist nonetheless. Especially when you realize that after awakening 10 directions, Kashin Koji never once attempted to expose himself to certain people. He doesn't return to Konoha. He never contacted Naruto or anything of that nature. He sat in Orochimaru's hideout and he studied his power. He collected information via the toads that were out there, and then he realized, I might actually be seeing the future. It wasn't because Ishiki smacked me so hard in the head that I thought I was seeing things. This is actually happening. Then when he links up with Boruto, we know that he told Boruto on screen after his conversation on how 10 Directions power works that he needed to stay hidden. He didn't want his survival known at that point in time. Though small things happened where some who paid attention, they caught on. Like Code, he saw that toad in that 10 Tails dimension and he knew right away, oh my god, that's Kashin Koji's toad, just based on Code's reaction. Koji's actions basically come down to avoiding discovery. It wasn't enough to stay off the radar. It was more about making sure that your existence isn't known unless it absolutely has to be known. Now fast forward to Boruto Two Blue Vortex. Chapter 14 quietly reinforces that line in such a small way it's easy to overlook. Boruto outright tells everyone when he's being interrogated for the murder of Naruto and Hinata that he can't reveal the identity of the person helping him. Why? Because their safety will be in danger. Boruto makes that his biggest deal breaker after refusing to tell the truth about what happened to Naruto and Hinata to avoid exposing Kawaki. That line has always been fascinating because Boruto isn't protecting someone weak. He's protecting Kashin Koji. The same Kashin Koji who fought Jigen and killed him. And granted, Jigen was at less than 10% power and Kashin Koji called it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The same Kashin Koji who has earned the right to wear the I Survive Ishiki t-shirt. The same Kashin Koji capable of surviving countless futures, and for that reason, to a decent degree, he's a few steps ahead of everyone. It's like looking at all of that and saying, I still need to be protected. That's crazy. So who exactly is Boruto worried about? The obvious answer isn't somebody with physical strength. It's information, and in a story about ninjas and technology, that's where Amado starts becoming incredibly interesting. Because by this point in the story, Amado has already suspected Kashin Koji. He didn't know with absolute certainty, but suspicion is enough for someone like him, and he wasn't the only one who thought Boruto was working with Kashin Koji. All the Kara inners in the village came to the conclusion with the exception of Delta. Code figured it out. Kawaki figured it out, and so did Amado. This is the same scientist who spent years manipulating gods, cyborgs, villages, Kara, Kawaki, Naruto, Shikamaru, basically every major player in the story, to the point that you might have had to start wondering, is this bloke actually secretly the villain of the story? Amado doesn't need proof. He needs probability and suspicion, and then, like any good scientist, he moves towards planning and waiting for results. That's exactly what eventually happened. Kashin Koji has been captured, which creates one question that has to get asked. Why was Kashin Koji so determined to stay hidden from Amado in the first place? Most fans immediately jump towards one answer. Amado has a shutdown code. Koji was worried about that in part 1. That is definitely possible. Amado originally created Kashin Koji and cloned him off of Juraya's DNA. The only thing worse for a clone of Jiraiya than a shutdown code is being told that you gotta take a vow of celibacy. We know that Amado installed commands inside of multiple cyborgs, including Kawaki. We know that he also has limiters on people. He loves contingency plans more than Naruto loves ramen, and more than Tobirama loves saying the word Uchiha with extra emphasis on the HA. He's got a hard HA when he says it. So naturally, everyone assumes that Kashin Koji simply feared another shutdown command. Except, I don't think that was the entire story. Because if shutdown codes were the only answer, why spend years hiding? Based on everything we know about Kashin Koji, why spend years hiding? Why not simply eliminate Amado? Just send the toad into the lab and then blow him to sky high. Kashin Koji has repeatedly shown he's willing to kill when necessary. He literally told Boruto killing Code was the best possible future. Yodo got her guts pushed in, and Konohamaru was almost offered up as a sacrifice before Boruto stepped in. This isn't someone morally opposed to assassination. If anything, it's one of the first cards that this guy will play. If Amado truly represented nothing more than a dangerous old scientist, Koji should have removed him years ago. Instead, he chose avoidance. Avoidance is fascinating and is scary at the same time because psychologically speaking, people avoid things when confrontation makes the situation worse. People who avoid confrontation usually do so because it's a matter of survival. That should immediately make every Boruto fan nervous. Imagine knowing where the bomb is. I want you to put yourself in this situation. Imagine knowing where the bomb is. Imagine knowing who built the bomb. Imagine having every opportunity to destroy the engineer. Yet instead of attacking, you keep your distance. Why? Well, that question should scare you, and it's not because somebody's being indecisive. It very well could be due to the biggest checkoff gun in the entire story, one that I've been waiting to see go off for the last 3 years, Amado's daughter. Everything Amado has done circles back to one person, Akebi. Every lie, betrayal, manipulation, experiment, every cyborg Amado has ever made from a human model, every karma discussion that we've had, every deal he's had with Kawaki, everything points back to reviving his daughter. That is the center of Amado's universe. And as I've said for years now, that type of obsession, that is dangerous. And that's very unsettling. And I think the story's done a good job of making us believe that her revival is going to succeed. After all, that's what the story keeps building towards. And if you read Two Blue Vortex carefully, we keep seeing Akebi's body placed in the background multiple times. And Amado had to clarify when Kawaki first laid eyes on her, no, that's not Delta. Because again, Delta's a clone of his daughter. Akebi just has a different personality than her. What Kawaki's seeing is a shell. He's waiting to get that chroma seal transplanted onto her. I do believe we're not building towards a success. I think we're building towards a catastrophe. Again, it is a Chekhov's gun. They keep teasing she's going to be an otsutsuki. I think that we're going down that route. Think about how obsession has been rewarded in Boruto so far. Ishiki desperately sought out Kawaki. Instead, that obsession destroyed him. Kawaki literally stomps him out of existence. Momoshiki desperately wanted Boruto's body. Instead, he had to sacrifice his opportunity to resurrect using Boruto's body, and ironically, he was stuck inside of Boruto's body, his soul attached to him. He got what he wanted, except not in the way that he wanted it. Code desperately wants power, and yet he got his limiters unlocked and he got his ass whooped. Code desperately wants to become an otsutsuki. That one has a to be determined asterisk by it. Kawaki wants more power to protect Naruto. That one also has a to be determined asterisk by it. Amado is a very good candidate because unlike all these other characters, obsession isn't merely something that he has, and his obsession isn't just I'm seeking power. Instead, it is love, one of the core themes of Naruto. And ironically, love can make someone stronger, far more stronger, and far more dangerous than hate ever could, especially when that love is mixed with desperation. With someone like Amado, he ignores every single warning sign. And that's where Kashin Koji should start making a lot of sense to us. Because maybe, just maybe, Koji wasn't hiding from Amado. Maybe he was hiding from what Amado was trying to bring back into this world. One of the easiest ways to ruin a character is to make them wake up one morning and decide they're a villain now. That isn't Amado. It should never be Amado. Amado has always been something more dangerous. He's been a father in a story that has put a lot of emphasis on the relationships of parents and children. Everything that he's done that's been terrible, he's justified it with one sentence: I'm doing this for my daughter. And that's what makes him frightening, not because he's cruel, but because he's convinced that he's right. And history has shown us time and time again, the most dangerous people aren't motivated by history. They're motivated by love that is taken too far. That's exactly why Kashin Koji potentially avoiding Amado makes for a very important detail. Koji doesn't read people's intentions. He reads outcomes and probabilities. Amado may have the best motivation in the world. You can take him at face value and say he just wants his daughter back. But it doesn't matter if every future branch where Akebei returns ends up with her becoming an otsutsuki. That defeats the purpose of Kashin Koji trying to guide the world to a timeline that is a better timeline. Imagine they take down Jura and then it ends up being Akebei that is the next threat. And that's something that really bothers me. Every single future that Kashin Koji has described to Boruto revolves around events that can still be influenced. Kill Code, kill Hidari, save Sasuke, protect Sarada, and avoid certain battles, and we will be able to take down Jura. Everything has variables and branching paths, etc. Koji himself flat out tells us that fate isn't completely fixed. He just told Boruto, if you want to unseal Sasuke, fam, this is the most dangerous timeline we could ever bring into fruition. But when you look at Amado, Kashin Koji, he's been very careful. Extremely careful. And now these two have just met. I'm getting the same vibes that I did when we got into 2020 and 2021, and I kept saying they're putting all this emphasis on Kawaki and Ada. We cannot let these two meet each other. Something big is going to happen here that's going to be a vehicle for the next few arcs. Lo and behold, I was right. I said this is Search for Tsunade arc. That Code Assault arc is Search for Tsunade arc, and then what's coming afterwards is going to be our version of the Sasuke retrieval arc all the way up to the Tenchi Bridge arc of Naruto's manga. Not necessarily heavy on the action, but it's going to be a vehicle that takes us well into the time skip. That's what happened. I don't think that Koji and Amado meeting is going to be to the same degree as Ada using omnipotence. But I do think that now that Kashin Koji and Amado have been forced to meet each other, that this is going to be something that Ikimoto is going to pay off what we had for why Amado stayed hidden, but also Ikimoto is going to pay off what we had for why Kashin Koji stayed hidden, but also it's going to set more seeds for a later plot development. I don't think that that gets answered right away. But the moment that they talk about Akebei, I think that the story is playing a very dangerous game. How we get to that payoff is going to tell us everything. I do not envy Ikimoto in having to navigate a situation like this. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Click here on the left to check out this Naruto Explained video, or click here on the right to check out that Chainsaw Man video essay that I was talking to you guys about earlier.